course, I would want to join both our chairperson, Lesroy Williams, and also Minister Hamilton in making us all aware that today is the beginning, the start of the hurricane season. And it is a very important milestone because we should all start preparing in the case there is a major storm that impacts us. This afternoon, there will be a church service to start this service, to start this period, this season, and I want to encourage those who can to come by, but also to encourage all of us to be aware of our surroundings at home, to ensure that our shutters are in good stead, that hanging trees that can impact your buildings and affect your properties be trimmed, that we look around our properties and ensure that everything is in order. It's a very important factor that we must bear in mind, and I would, as co-chair of the Disaster Mitigation Council along with Minister Wendy Phipps, would want to assure you that the National Emergency Agency has begun its preparation for some time now. Our district committees are in place, have been meeting, and so we want to assure you and the country that we take this season, hurricane season, very seriously. Mr. Chair, Prime Minister, I want to adopt the policy that you have already, and Lesroy has already established, and of course recognizing all my cabinet colleagues and senior members of the government who are here, along with members of the media. Today, I welcome the opportunity to discuss some of the key activities that fall within the remit of my current portfolio. As Minister responsible for the Attorney General's Chambers, Ministry of Justice, Legal Affairs, Education, Sports, Youth, Foreign Affairs, and Civil Aviation. In the midst of this period of transition, we must ensure that the business of government is carried on in a seamless fashion and our various commitments are properly undertaken. In fact, one of our primary responsibilities is to ensure peace, order, and good governance within the Federation. And in that vein, I remain committed to ensuring that the government, its officials and agents function adequately and they are accountable under the law. With regards to the Office of the Attorney General, Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs, we remain cognizant of our role as gatekeepers in upholding the tenets of transparency, accountability, and the rational application of the laws. As we continue to uphold the rule of law, we do so with a keen eye on the administration of the laws in a manner that is clear, publicized, stable, and fair. Access to justice is therefore a key concern. And in that connection, I want to speak about our law courts. The Sir Lee Llewellyn Moore High Court building is in urgent need of repair. Our staff has been complaining of incidences that are being affected of mold. And we have moved quickly to arrange for the CNC building at George Street, the ground floor, to be converted as a temporary facility to hold our High Court Registry, the Office of the Registrar of 2 court chambers, and also the offices of their lordships, the local resident judges. We have already done so in terms of transitioning the judge to that building. I should point out the CNC building had been commissioned sometime last year and holds the registry for lands, the land registry. It also is the home of intellectual property, where the registrar of intellectual property is also there. But we have been able, or are working on making that building also act as a temporary court, law court, for the holding of civil matters as well as criminal matters, while we urgently do remedial work on the law courts that are normally there. Of course, I would point out that the newly commissioned annex in that building is also functional. And already we have 1 magistrate's court that's functional. There are rooms available for mediation in the law, as well as the law library. It is worth noting, however, that since the onset of the pandemic, hearings have been held via Zoom and other secure online platforms, and these measures continue to assist the courts in managing their caseload. So as I speak today, cases are going on with the master, not even based here, and with their lordships, that they hear matters online, and the whole idea of access to justice is still being managed as we speak. And again, too, within this context, we have been able, since last year, to have the incidents of a night court where traffic matters and others can be had and be dealt with. I want to move on quickly and to speak of 2 other matters that we in the Office of the Attorney General oversee and support, the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs. And the first one I'll speak to is questions of the Electoral Office. We know that the Constitution requires that an election, a general election, be held within the next 70 days or so. And it is a time when the Electoral Commission and officers in the Electoral Office have to prepare to be able to make sure that the conduct of the elections is done in a very fair and proper manner. Our Constitution, at Section 33, gives to the Commission of the Electoral Commission the right, the authority, the independent authority to supervise and oversee the work of the supervisor of elections, and that is at Section 34 of the Constitution. They have to monitor to ensure that the officers who will conduct the elections are trained, that the materials are in place, and all matters of registration and voters' registers are proper and in order. And we note that a number of these jobs have already been done. The Electoral Commission has been meeting with representatives of political parties. The Electoral Commission has been busy visiting various sites around the island. The Electoral Commission, through the Supervisor of Elections, has begun training of the various officers that need to be trained in the various constituencies. And the Supervisor of Elections as well has been moving boxes that have been stored after the last elections in police stations back to the headquarters on Central Street. And on Sunday, for instance, he would have moved boxes that had been retained. As by law, you have to retain them in case there are court challenges, and there needs to be the evidence. He's now beginning the job of moving these electoral boxes back to the headquarters on Central Street, where the old ballots will be properly destroyed, and they'll make sure that all of the paraphernalia is in order. Where we need to order materials, this has already been done, and as I said, the Electoral Commission would be overseeing these activities. The Electoral Commission is headed by Attorney at Law, Mr. Nazibu Butler, who has been appointed by His Excellency the Governor General in his own deliberate judgment. The Commission also has on it Attorney at Law, Mr. Grenville Brown, who has been appointed by the Prime Minister, appointed by the Governor General on the advice of the Prime Minister, and also Attorney at Law, Mr. Jason Hamilton, appointed by His Excellency Governor General on the advice of the Leader of the Opposition. And these are closely monitoring the activities to ensure that our elections are free and fair as we come to expect them. I want also to mention that we in St. Kitts and Nevis have been working constantly to ensure that the tenets of good governance are always going to be adhered to by this government and those who live and work in our country. And we were happy last week for our independent Integrity in Public Life Commission to host and co-host the Commonwealth Caribbean Association of Integrity in Public Life and Anti-Corruption Bodies. Their annual conference was held here in St. Kitts last year at the Marriott in Frigate Bay. It was the first in-person conference that had been held in 2 years, and we were able to accommodate the association to put this in place. Some 9 countries of the 14 member bodies were able to attend in person, while others joined via Zoom. The opening ceremony was held last Monday under the auspices of His Excellency the Governor General, and we had as a special guest the Commonwealth Secretary General, Baroness Patricia Scotland, who visited and brought remarks as well. At the opening ceremony, we had remarks along with Baroness Scotland and others. We had remarks from former Prime Minister Denzil Douglas, Right Honorable Denzil Douglas, and unfortunately the Prime Minister had other engagements, and I would have brought remarks on his behalf. Again, our Integrity in Public Life Commission has been set up. It is chaired, headed by Madam Justice Paletta Lance, retired judge of the High Court, and it also has in that body Mr. Dennis Freddie Knight, appointed by the Prime Minister, appointed by His Excellency the Governor General on the advice of the Prime Minister, and also Mrs. Carolyn Boddy, who is appointed by the Governor General on the advice of His Excellency, on the advice of the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Denzil, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas. The Commission has a permanent office that is set up on Liverpool Row in the DeLille Waldron building, and there's a permanent staff which is headed, has a CEO, Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Albert Bertie Edwards, who is retired director of audit. And so this body is functional, and they've been working for some time now with legal drafters in the Office of the Attorney General to work on improving the act that had been passed in 2013, and regulations have been worked on, are ready to be put in place at the next term of the Parliament. So it continues to work, and we're happy that we're able to host that meeting here last week. It went off very well. They had their annual general meeting on Friday, and that is now finished. I want to turn to my portfolio, my new portfolio at the Ministry of Education. And we have been having meetings. I'm sure all of us have been having meetings to come up to speed with our new portfolios. And I've been able to meet with Permanent Secretary, Mr. Vincent Hodge, and members of his staff, Dr. Tricia Esdell, Melvin Basu, Senior Assistant Secretary, Secretaries Melvin Basu and Desiree Gums. And we have discussed at length a number of issues involving the Ministry of Education. One of which, of course, is the need for us to quickly and aggressively ensure that the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School at Modern is rebuilt very quickly to be able to host the students in that area, in the Molyneux and the surrounding areas. We recall that in March there was a fire that devastated that school. We understand that this had been caused by arson. Someone is in police custody and has been denied bail, and we are very saddened by that. The students at this time are being housed in the Explorers Club at Malville in Phillips's. But we want to be able to work hard to be able to have the school readied by early September so we can have them continue their lives. Public Works has already been working to be able to have the plans put in place, and we hope that this will be able to be done in a short space of time. This month, the 1st of June, is Child Month here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And I would have had the privilege and honor to have brought remarks to open this month. That begins today. The children, the Early Education Development Unit has been able to establish a theme, and that is recycle. For our children to be able, at a very early age, for the need to protect the earth resources, learn how to recycle waste, and to do things that helps us to protect the earth for current and future generations of children. There's an exciting program that we normally look forward to. There are a number of church services in each zone of the schools. There would have been a church service this morning, I believe, at Emmanuel Methodist Church in Sandy Point. Tomorrow there will be another church service for the Eastern Zone at the Evangelistic Center at Neesmouth, and on Friday morning there'll be another service at the Anglican Church, St. George's Anglican Church on Caron Street. All of these services will begin at 9 o'clock, and there are a number of events during the course of the month. There's normally the very exciting Child Month Parade that would be, I think, on the 24th of June, as the children and their parents and providers, teachers parade in Bastille. There's also going to be a parade in Charleston Nevis, I think that's the 10th of June, and there are a number of events that we'd want all of us to support our young as they develop. We have had discussions as well with the chairman of the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College. We would have known, be aware that Dr. Austin, the president there, would have demitted office a month or two ago as she did not renew her contract. And so we are now on the process of doing a search to find a new president for the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College to ensure that that institution, that tertiary institution that's so critical and vital to provision of our workforce, our citizens as they get older, as they graduate, to take their proper role in our society. I want to speak about the Ministry of Sports, and this too, we have had a number of meetings to be brought up to speed, and I must say that over the next couple of months, next 3 months or so, are going to be filled with activities, international activities, in addition to our national programs in football and basketball and other sports. This weekend coming up, the St. Kitts Nevis Football Association will stand host to the 2022 Nations League football tournament. And it starts on Sunday with a double header of football matches at Warner Park, at the Cricket Stadium. At 3 o'clock, there's a match between Dominica and Anguilla. And at 7 o'clock, there's a match between Antigua and Guadeloupe. Then again on Thursday next week, Antigua plays Cuba, and on Sunday, the following Sunday, St. Kitts Nevis plays St. Martin. These are qualifying matches for later tournaments, but it is a period where we encourage all our sports-loving fans to come out and support football at the Warner Park Stadium. And under the auspices of the St. Kitts Nevis Football Association, in August, the beginning of August Monday and Tuesday, we have two exciting T20 matches that the Cabinet has approved to be hosted here between West Indies and the Indians. Indian national team, the test team, will be visiting over the next few months, couple months, in the Caribbean, and St. Kitts and Nevis have been awarded 2 T20s on August Monday and the next day, and the Cabinet has been able to approve the hosting of these matches for us to put together a local organized committee to work with Cricket West Indies to ensure that exciting cricket comes to St. Kitts, and those cricket lovers be able to see the exciting Indian team, Virat Kohli and others who are doing so much, exciting cricket, playing so much exciting cricket worldwide. Later in August, the Cabinet has been able to work to approve as well and do to pay its obligations to host CPL. The Caribbean Premier League is on in St. Kitts this year, and we are fortunate and privileged to host some 31 matches in this edition of the Caribbean Premier League here in St. Kitts. You'd recall that we have the Patriots Franchise that the government last year would have been entered into to ensure that the Patriots are going to be with us for the next, for a 5-year period. This is the second year that they're doing so. It comes with a cost, of course, and every year we have to pay some $750,000. We are the defending champions, of course. It's very important to note. This, of course, should have been paid by the 1st of March. Unfortunately, we were behindhand, and when I took over office, this is something that had to be quickly spearheaded, and I've been fortunate to have support from the Cabinet to ensure that the Ministry of Finance will do its duty and ensure that we have our Patriots defend here in St. Kitts Nevis. When we have 31 matches here this year, actually the other I think it's Guyana, Trinidad, and one other country have 7 and 8 matches. So we are having a standard period of cricket here. There's something new that the CPL is bringing to St. Kitts and Nevis this year. For the first time ever, there will be a women's T20 in CPL, and all of their matches will be played here in St. Kitts. So that is something to look forward to, as well as Super 60, where for again the first time, the CPL is putting on a T10 competition. Instead of 20 overs per innings, each side will now be facing 10 overs per inning. We expect it to be faster, quicker, more exciting. You can only hit a 6, you can't hit a 12, but we expect it to be cricket, lovely cricket will come. So we have a very exciting program coming, and we look forward to having our people be able to enjoy a fun-filled sporting period. I have to be mindful that my 5 minutes is running out. So I'll quickly just go on and speak about one more matter, and that's the Ministry of Aviation, and continues to work together with our regional partners and the OECS Secretariat in facilitating the return of the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority to Category 1 status by United States of America Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. ECA had been downgraded to a Category 2 status by the FAA, and we have been working very hard, and it has been recommended that there was the need for the legislative framework to be reviewed and bolstered. I'm happy to say that at a meeting of the Legal Affairs Committee of the OACS, that should have been earlier this week, there has been general agreement that we do the necessary work to ensure that this is put in place and to be able to ensure that the Category 1 status is returned throughout the OECS sub-region. Very critical for us in terms that we have our airspaces properly regulated. And with those few words, I would want to end here. Just, however, to say that as I have indicated, the business of government continues. And I look forward to working with these various ministries and departments that have been tasked with as we continue to move the country forward. Thank you very much.